go with the load sensors in the lift cylinders that would measure the hydraulic pressure. Well, oil is subject to cold and heat. It gets thinner when it gets hotter. So that didn't work. So we just decided to take them off of trucks because they weren't really accurate. All right? Matter of fact, if you had one where you had a load sensor on your ladder and it would send the horn off, they probably sent you a letter within the last year or two saying, might as well disconnect it, it's not very accurate. Okay? Just so you know. All right. Stabilizer setup procedures. Shift transmission to neutral, apply a parking brake, apply front wheel locks, which will automatically come back on if you left them on. Turn on aerial master, turn on aerial PTO switches. Okay? If you're going to put your pump into gear, I would turn everything on anyway. You may not be using your bucket, but you don't have to back the pump down in order to get your PTOs in then. They're in. They don't care if you use them or not. Okay? But you'd hate to be running your pump at 1500 RPM and then say, I need my ladder, and have to back your pump down to engage your ladder. Because it's really hard on that PTO to engage it when the truck is going faster than idle speed. Okay? So turn it all on, even if you're going to use it or not. Okay? It's better. That way you don't have to back things down. Okay? Put the truck transmission in neutral, set the parking brake, put the foot on your service brake, engage pump shift control. You do not have pump shift on your truck. You have a button you just push. Okay, so ignore that. This is a very generic video, and it could be for somebody that's got a waterous or a hail type pump. Okay, you have a puck pump, which is our own concoction, and it doesn't require shifting. Okay. Set your wheel chocks, extend all your beams, put your ground pads out, put your jacks down. Okay. You must let this truck stop you. Don't anticipate its moves. And I'll tell you why. If I run my stabilizers out and I put my jacks down, if I see that jack coming down the ground and I anticipate its move and say, okay, it's on the ground, and I let go of the switch. If the truck did not stop me, I won't be able to set it up properly. The next time I hit that switch, I'm automatically in the manual setup mode. I already blew through its automatic setup mode because I didn't let it stop me. Okay? So when we get out there, you'll see that. You gotta let the truck stop you. What it's doing is you run the stabilizers out, you run them down, it touches the ground. There is a proc switch on top of each beam. Once it lifts up that beam enough, it stops the functions of the stabilizers. Okay? You've got both of them out, you got both of them down to where the lights are flashing on both sides. Now you hold the level assist switch on the side. You don't hold the other stabilizer and center switch down. You hold the level assist switch. What it will do is loading up the stabilizers 700 pounds of pressure each. And then it's going to level your truck up. Okay, so now it says I got 700 pounds here, 700 pounds here, level side to side. It does that. Then it begins dropping that rear stabilizer on its own. When the rear stabilizer hits the ground, what it's looking for is it's looking for the transfer of 700 pounds from the front of the truck to the back of the truck. When it senses that weight has transferred over, it says, I got 700 additional pounds for counterweight. I'm good. My ladder can come out of the cradle. That's what it's doing. Right? It's determining how high it needs to go. The days of you got to go this high, you got to go this many holes, that's gone. This truck will figure out how high it needs to be. If you're on a hill more than 3 degrees, 3.5 degrees, it will make you do, and get this, it'll blow your mind, it'll make you do the low side first. All books would tell you to do the high side on an aerial truck. Any teaching whatsoever, always do the high side. This will make you do the low side first. It needs to know where it is in order for it to set itself up properly. Okay? So it will make you do the low side. If it does not let you do a function, go to the other side of the truck. Okay? Simple as that. If it doesn't let you do one side, try the other side. Okay? but it will make you do the low side. It's supposed to make you do the low side. It's a different animal, different than what you're used to. Yes, sir.
So what happens when it makes you do the low side, and then you can't extend your outrigger on the other side?
Oh, you will be able to.
'Cause of the
It'll be
slope.
out already, and they'll be down already.
So
Okay?
it only limits you after you have them out.
Right.
Okay, I
Yeah.
understand that. Thank you.
Okay. Short jacking, it won't let you go to a short jack side. We said that a billion times now. Okay. This is that very first page, that big long one that I was talking about before. This is the same thing, just condensed. And it says, don't exceed its limits. Use to your discretion when or near, when using an electric storm. Always come from above. Know the conditions. Safety chains on turntable should be hooked. Got to have an operator at the turntable controls at all times, or if not, lock it out. Personnel on the ladder should always wear safety belts and use chocks. It's the same things that were on the first page. Here's your angle indicators. Side to side, grade slope. This is a slope, as a matter of fact. You've got the green area where your BB is, and you got a yellow area, then you have a red area. Green is 100% use of the load chart. Okay. For grade, it goes from 0 to 5.5 in the green. For slope, it only goes to 3.5. Okay. And then if you're going to go to yellow, it's beyond that. So for slope, it'd be beyond 3.5 to 5.5 is yellow. And then beyond that is red. Anytime your BBs are in the red, the ladder will not come out of the cradle. It'll say, you are too unstable to operate me, reposition the truck. Okay. If you can't correct it to the point where it becomes yellow, it will not let you take the ladder out of the cradle. It's saying, you're already too unstable, I don't want you to put me out. Okay. Here's your load charts. Minus 10 degrees all the way up to 77 degrees. With the waterway dry, on this particular truck you can have 500 on the base, 500 on the lower mid, 500 on the upper mid. Okay. Then you can have 250 on the fly and 750 in the bucket. So there's 1,000 right there between the fly and the bucket. 2,500 pounds on that ladder. Okay. You can always keep weight moving down the ladder. You cannot take the 500 from the base section and go towards the bucket though. You can take the 750, go this way. You can't take the 5, go that way. It's like holding on cans of paint. If I got a can of paint here and a can of paint here, I can move that, that's great, it gets lighter. I can't take this can of paint and go towards this can of paint because it gets heavier. Okay? So keep that in mind when you're running it. Then you can see how it reduces when you're flowing water. You can have 500 in the basket all the way across, but we cannot have any weight here at lower angles because it's too much weight for that ladder. The other thing with these ladders is they don't bow. They don't bow like a normal ladder. You extend a regular ladder out, it's got that arc to it. Okay? Not this one. They stay pretty straight all the way across. When they are flowing water, they bow backwards. So if you're up in the ladder straight up at 77 and you're flowing water and you're in that bucket, you may be back over here. Okay? Where if you look down the ladder, you may not be able to climb down the ladder because it's underneath the bucket. It'd be like that. It's creepy to look at. All right? But you'll see it. Then when I show you today, there's whipping in this ladder. What I mean by whipping is this ladder has holding cartridges in it, like all ladders do. It takes 1,500 pounds of pressure to lift this ladder out of the cradle. It takes 2,800 to lower it back down. Okay? If I were to cut all the hoses on my ladder, it would not come crashing to the ground. The holding cartridges are designed to hold it there until I get positive pressure to open the cartridges up so the ladder can move. All right? That's why you don't need pins for your stabilizers anymore. In 2010, the NFPA said that pins were good enough to hold it up in the air should you lose a hose, because the holding cartridges are there, right? Right. So, I'm gonna lower this ladder down to a rooftop, and I'm up here, okay, and I need to go down with it. I would caution you, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna build up pressure in that hydraulic system to get those cartridges to move. And I'll show you today, we'll do it from way up in the air. We'll put it all the way up, and then I'm gonna give it a full down. You're gonna see it build up that pressure to 2,800 pounds, and you'll see that bottom of the ladder start moving like this. The bucket will be back here, and all of a sudden she'll just go whack. She'll slap. She'll build it like a whip, just like you're building pressure up in a whip. She'll bend the ladder like this, and then she'll release its tension because the cartridge is open. And you'll slap a rooftop with this ladder. You'll, like that. And it's not good. So when you do run it, always run it in slow speed. If anything, go up with the ladder first, get the cartridges moving, and then go back down. Okay, because otherwise it builds up that pressure and you'll slap a rooftop. And the chief won't care why you did it. He'll just know you did it. All right, so don't do that. They're not happy when you do things like that. Okay. There's your nozzle positions. See, below 1,000 gallons a minute, you're unlimited to what you do. All right. Now, you can see right here, if I raise my nozzle up, I'm only going to be hitting my own basket. So try not to do that. Don't run your water into your bottom of your basket. There is a light right here at the front. You'll fill that light with water. We asked them to put a deflector shield in front of that light. We asked for a piece of aluminum back there so that the water would be directed away. They wouldn't do it. You know why? Weight. How much could that weigh, right? They would not do it because of the weight of that piece of aluminum.
Wow.
Yeah. The engineers are very picky. And for the people that went up to the factory, they'll tell you, everything has got to do with weight in that bucket. Those rung lights, if you have rung lights, those took 100 pounds out of the capacity of your bucket. Not because the lights are that heavy, but that 12-3 cable that runs up to the tip is that heavy. You take a big 12-3 cable, you can run your house on 12-3 cable, and coil it at 139 feet of cable. That's a lot of weight. So that's why they retracted at 100 pounds off the tip. There again is your 1/4 inch ice buildup. Not that you gotta worry about it, but look at how it changes it from -10 to 29 degrees, almost 20 degrees. You can have 0 on there. You can't have any weight in the bucket because it's that much weight on your ladder. Any more than that, I would tip the truck over. Okay. Your intercom should come on the minute you take your ladder out of the cradle. When it goes in the cradle, they tend to turn off because the feedback with the short ladder trucks, okay, there's a lot of feedback. You would back it into the station, you get that and you know, like that. So that's why when we put them in the cradle, they usually shut off. Okay, your nozzle, your water wave monitor, we take away the power for that too when it's in the cradle, because we don't want somebody up there playing with the switches and driving that nozzle into the windshield of your truck. So we take away the power for that. Okay. All right. Breathing air, if you have it. I don't think you do.
We don't have that, right? No, it's just
Okay,
waivers, the
good.
CDAs will be wearing up there.
Just another thing that drive you nuts.
Mhm.
Yeah. Breathing air, if you had it, we would say leave the valve closed on the bottle until you're ready to use it, because no matter what you do, as you drive around town, it would leak out. Yeah, it's impossible to stop an air leak on them things. We'll go through this outside. Screens. This is your main screen. Tells you how much in gallons per minute it's going through the waterway, how much weight you can have on the ladder, at what angle you're at. Okay? It's just mimicking the load chart. Tells you if your rungs are aligned for climbing, if they're not, and it will tell you the angle of the ladder. Now, if you look, here's a little button, there's a button. If you touch this screen in either one of those corners, you are gonna get a hidden screen that's up there. And I'll see if I can get to it. Yes, okay. When you touch this or this button on either side, this will pop up. These are your monitor controls again. There's an extra set hidden up there in the screens, so that if the ones down here, the military style ones, quit working, you still have the ability to run your monitor from the screen, the touch screen. Okay? Now, if you notice, there's a panel 2, panel 3, and a panel 4. Those are usually blank. So if I wanted to go, you know, if I wanted to go and add another switch up at my turntable console, say I wanted an air horn up there, and I already had an air horn at the pump panel, okay, all I have to do is add one of those virtual switches up at the turntable console, and through programming I can get the air horn to sound on the truck. Or I can turn on my floodlighting, or anything else that is through the MUX system, I could turn on or off at my turntable without adding switches. So you have that ability. All right. So that's what you have there. Here's your home screen. This screen will give you options like live data. It will give you cameras if you have them on your ladder. Okay. Hydraulic oil temperature, that's important, especially around here. You do not want your hydraulic oil to get above 180, all right? Because if it gets too hot, you're gonna start breaking down the seals in like your lift cylinders, or your hoses will start to get really hot, and then whenever they get hot, you're adding dirt to your oil. And you don't want to add a lot of dirt to your oil because the cartridges need to seat. If they don't shut and there's dirt in there, it's going to bleed down, okay? So we want to keep the oil as clean as possible. Your oil tank on your truck is only, on this particular truck, 25 gallons. It's a very small tank, yeah. But you're not doing a lot of moving it back and forth, up and down, okay? Usually you're going after something, or you're directing water, and then you're bringing it to the ground. You're not running it excessively, okay? Tells you how your grade and slope is set, what your stabilizers look like when they're set. This yellow means it's short jacked. The red means that the rear stabilizer is not on the ground, and the green is good. Do I care if the center stabilizer comes off the ground? No, I don't care. Do I care if the opposite side stabilizer comes off the ground? Nope, I don't care. I'm not using them anyway. Yeah, that may freak you out, but you're not using them. Don't go down and take an override and lower those stabilizers. You will tip over your truck. When you rotate the ladder back over, it will come back on the ground. It will plant itself, okay? If it's not shutting you down, if it's not worrying about it, don't worry about it, okay? You're not using that side anyway. The NFPA says you must maintain 3 contact points in order for this ladder to operate safely, meaning the rear stabilizer, the side that you're on, and probably a front wheel. Everything else can be off the ground. If you lose contact and you're down to 2 contact points, that's when the NFPA worries. So it'd be that stabilizer, that rear one, everything else is off the ground. That's not a good thing, okay? But as long as you can maintain 3 contact points, you're good. This is what a short jack side will look like. Obviously, the passenger side on your truck there is short jack. The stabilizer's not out all the way. You're not going to be able to go to that side of the truck. It's going to stop you, okay? Saying you can't use me over there. On your live data screen, you will get water used in total. I don't know why that doesn't make sense. But it used to be they give you per run until you turned off your aerial master, and then that would reset. So I know, or I did know, that if I was flowing 1,250 gallons a minute for 10 minutes on a flat top roof, I had 12,500 gallons of water up there, which means a lot of weight. You know, at 8.33 whatever pounds per gallon, I knew that. Now, I have no idea how much water's on top of that rooftop, because they're giving you a lifetime flow of water. Who
Oh,
cares?
Yeah,
There's no way to reset that?
No.
wow.
And who cares what the
Yeah.
lifetime is? I don't care. So I thought that was stupid.
Does it tell you PSI on how much is coming out of the,
It tells you how much is coming out at the time. It doesn't tell you how much went through it or came out. They used to. They just give you a total now. You'll see you have aerial PTO hours here, and then you have aerial hours. The aerial PTO hours are when the PTO is turned on and it's running. That's always moving. It doesn't care if the ladder's out of the cradle or not. This one is actual ladder out of the cradle hours. That's what we go off the maintenance with. We want to know every time that ladder was taken out of the cradle, and the book reflects aerial hours for that. So you got a 25 hour, 50 hour, you got your 400 hour, okay? Those are all based on the ladder being out of the cradle. All right. You have water flow calibration. Try not to touch that. It is set right now. We do leave it open because we don't want to send a service person out here every time you have your truck recertified. But when they do recertify your truck, they're gonna flow it, and they're gonna come out with pitot pressure tips, and they're gonna make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. So we leave that open so they can calibrate it at that time. But don't play with that. Don't go in there and change it, because it will change what your truck reflects, that it's flowing. The other things don't turn it to is probably simple Chinese or Portuguese, because I can't turn it back. Probably somebody down here can speak Portuguese, but simple Chinese might be tough. Okay. This lift eye, this basket lift eye is rated for 500 pounds. That is behind the monitor. Okay. Try not to exceed that. It's only for lifting straight up. All right, we're gonna go through this stuff outside. Besides, it's getting kind of boring in it. We'll go through the overrides outside, everything else is hands-on. I'd rather do it that way,